Hi everyone, I'm Chyill and welcome back to another Battlerite discussion video. Today I just want to talk a little bit about the patch 1.1.1 which dropped a couple of days ago, and this brought to us the Prehistoric Mania event, some balance changes as well as some general changes to the game. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing we're talking about today would be the Prehistoric Mania event, and it's basically an event that brought to us lots of cosmetic items that has a very prehistoric theme, so dinosaurs, cavemen kind of theme basically. One of the first things you probably realize when you get into the game would be these event mounts, and basically you just need to play lots of games. It doesn't matter whether you play casual, League or Battlegrounds, and I believe you need to play 25 games for the Peaceful Triceratops. I'm guessing that is this one, and then 65 matches for the Enraged Triceratops. So you have from whenever the patch launched until December 12th, so that's about 2 weeks to play 65 matches. So you're kind of looking at about maybe 4 games a day, 4 to 5 games a day. That's assuming you play every single day from when the patch drops to the end date. So you have to play about 3 to 4 matches every day to get both the mounts. About there, that's just a very rough calculation. It's probably somewhere around 5 or so. And so yeah, then they also introduced 2 new chests. One is the Prehistoric chest, which I think is this one, and the Ancient chest. So the Prehistoric chest sort of replaces your standard silver chest, and it basically guarantees 1 rare item as usual and 1 prehistoric item. So that prehistoric item can be any rarity, so most of the time it will probably be avatars and common items, but sometimes you maybe can get some rares, and if you're really lucky you can get one of the outfits or something. So you can earn this just by playing the game. And the Ancient chest is the one which gives a guaranteed epic or legendary, and it's non-duplicate as well, prehistoric item. So this is probably the main way you get all the cool stuff really fast, but this of course costs you some real money. So I believe it is 250 gems for 1 or 1250 gems for 6, so you get a bit of a discount if you buy in bulk basically. So there's according to this post, you have 6 new legendary outfits. I think Baku gets 1, Pearl gets 1, Shifu, Older, Taya, and one more. I'm not really too sure, but you get some epic weapons, some poses, some mounts, and a lot of avatars. So this nice gentleman over here have compiled like an Imgur album of like all the cosmetic items. I'll link you guys to this album if you want like a quick place to sort of see all the new skins and stuff. So I guess Ismo is also another one that got a new skin. And yeah, the link is down in the description and also probably in the comment that I'll leave in the video, and you guys can just quickly take a look and see exactly what is out and what you might want from this event basically. Yeah, lots of cool things. I think Shifu's one looks quite nice. I quite like Shifu's one. Pearl's one is pretty good as well, I think. And I know I've already opened the Pearl skin from one of my chests, so I've already got the Pearl one. And so yeah, there's some new poses like, you know, Jumong and all of this. So yeah, I'll just leave the link down below and you guys can check it out. So on to some general updates. You can now favorite friends, which I think is really great. Like I have lots and lots of pages of friends, and sometimes searching through for one friend is kind of time consuming. So favoriting friends this way brings them to the top of a friends list, and you can search for your friends really quickly. That's really great. They have also added an add friend button in the scoreboard at the end of a match, and that's super handy because sometimes you get people who have lots of special characters. So like I play in the Asia region, so sometimes we have people with Mandarin names or Korean names or Japanese names, and I can't add them because I can't type in those languages, you know. So having this add friend button is super handy, especially in this Asia region, and it also saves you the time of having to type in a certain guy's name and you know, try to add them that way. So I think this is really handy, and it's very good for the game in a social perspective. They also added some social event notifications, and so your friends will now see when you receive a legendary item, when you reach level 10 or 20 on the champion, and so on. And so this sort of builds a sense of community, like, because you'll be just queuing for a game, right? And all of a sudden, you get a notification saying that your friend got something or your friend reached a certain level and stuff, and so you can maybe congratulate them and all that sort of stuff. And it's really nice to see that they're adding these sort of social features, because that way everyone sort of there's a greater sense of community basically, even while you're in game, and it's not so quiet, you know what I mean, since there is no global chat or anything yet. So this definitely makes the game feels more alive, I think, and it definitely helps to retain players, I feel. So that's really nice to see. Of course, they have to add options so that you can disable it in case you don't want any of this. That's fine. Some people might want it, some people don't want it, so that's always nice to see. Having options is always great. And so yeah, they also added a developer API, so this allows people to create lots of third-party stuff that could help the game experience. A lot of stuff like stat tracking and all that sort of stuff will be available, so that's great. And so yeah, it's great to see that they took the time to do all this kind of thing, and so props to SLS. This is great to see. On to some champion updates. Crooks got a bit of changes. I think they sort of reduced the nerf a little bit to Precision Leap. So when they first introduced Precision Leap, it was really strong. Then they nerfed it a little bit, and now they're buffing it a bit so that to make it a little bit more attractive to use. And they also changed up Croak's Twin Strike, well, formerly known as Twin Strike, to Triple Strike now, to sort of make his damage a little less bursty. Like, he still gets the increased damage in total, but he needs to get 3 strikes off instead of 2 strikes now, so makes it a little less consistent. But he still, if you can stick to the enemy, it's still pretty okay. So it's just a bit of tuning, I guess, and to tone down Croak's burst damage a little bit, basically. Now on to Destiny. Destiny's got a bit of bug fixes and stuff like this. They changed it so that a target cannot be snared multiple times by leaving and then re-entering the wall. So before this, like, if the enemy entered the wall and got snared, they can keep going in and out of the wall without really any penalties. So this sort of boosts her survivability just a little bit, I guess. And they also changed it so that her R now travels through Firewall and Dead Roots, because it is not really considered a projectile, I guess. I mean, it is a projectile, but I think they sort of want to consider it as sort of an AoE kind of ability. So this makes it so that it doesn't get destroyed by stuff that blocks projectiles, like Firewall and Dead Roots. So that's nice to see. On to Freya. Freya's twin hammers got nerfed a little bit. I think it's a bit oppressive because it's a really easy way to in-cap enemies and stuff like that. I think it is quite warranted, and so now if you take her twin hammers Battlerites, the cooldown has been increased from 0.5 seconds to 1 second. I'm not sure that extra 0.5 second really make a huge difference, considering like before this the cooldown was already increased by 0.5 seconds. But I think any sort of nerf, even no matter how small it is, will affect its pick rate a little bit, so I guess that's kind of okay. And it just reduces the power of Freya a little bit, which I think is quite warranted, I feel. They also seem to have nerfed a little bit on her Lightning Rod and her Rolling Thunder. I think these were some really popular Battlerites that people tend to pick with Freya because the shield that she got from like using her E, and you know, the Rolling Thunder was actually pretty decent actually. So it's nice to see that they sort of tone her down a little bit. And I don't think she'll be completely unplayable after these nerfs. Like, the nerfs aren't too big, I feel. And so she should still be okay after this. I mean, they did buff her positive charge again to make her damage output increase from 10% to 15%. Maybe people will pick this more again. But then again, the shields like doesn't last as long anymore because like her shield from Lightning Rod has been decreased. So maybe they sort of balance out a little bit. On to Iva. This is quite a big buff, I feel, because Iva's E is actually one of her best abilities in my opinion, and so reducing the cooldown from 8 seconds to 7 seconds is quite a nice thing to see, considering Iva is like not in a very good spot right now. So I think this is a good buff, but I'm afraid that like her E will be up too often, and this will allow her to be really disruptive, but we'll have to see. I think it's quite fair, but I was hoping that maybe they could have buffed her in other ways instead of just decreasing the cooldown of her E. Well, I guess I quite enjoy playing Iva, so I'm not really complaining, but it's just just a concern about Iva maybe becoming too disruptive, basically. On to Lucy and Older. In fact, I think both of these changes are just to make it nicer to use their defensive abilities. So like for Lucy's case, it's her roll, and for Older's case, it's his Q. And so it basically just means that these abilities can be used without waiting for whatever they were casting before to be finished. So like if they were halfway casting something, they can just use her, like Lucy can just use R and just roll instead of trying to finish the cast. So I guess that's what they mean, and this is a nice change so that you don't have that effect where you thought you pressed your Q, or you thought you pressed your R or so on, but you actually haven't because you're still casting something. So yeah, I think that's nice to see. Moving on to Taya, they're sort of toning down her high damage potential a little bit according to their post here, because they felt Taya was really strong in the higher levels. And so they toned down her base mouse to damage, but they put that damage into her Battlerite. So that makes this Battlerite even more needed, I feel, which I don't really agree with, because like, sure, you're toning down her base kit, right? But if everyone was already choosing crosscut for that damage anyways, now they're gonna pick it even more because it becomes so mandatory, because you need that damage for the op control, you need that damage so that you can burst people down. So I don't really agree with that change. I mean, it's nice if you're toning down a champion that is too strong at certain level or whatnot, but putting it all into a Battlerite means that you're making that Battlerite more mandatory, and it will be included in a lot of builds because of that. So don't really like having Battlerites that are too strong, because that really reduces the diversity that you have. But I mean, what can I say? If before this if they're fine with having a Battlerite being picked all the time, then I guess that's okay. But yeah, I'm not really angry about it. It's just I'm just showing concern that putting too much power into a Battlerite might not be the greatest idea in the long run, at least. Moving on to Thorn, I think they toned down Thorn a little bit more. I don't really feel like they should, because like Thorn, well, yeah, sure, his range capabilities are a bit strong. So they toned it down a bit by nerfing his mouse 2 and his E, you know, reducing its range a little bit and all that, which is fine. But I always feel like Thorn isn't that strong. Like, he is strong at lower levels, at least, especially at low levels, in fact. But like, his strong range potential is something that is sort of quite special to him, because otherwise he doesn't really have anything to do when he's not able to get near to enemies, if you know what I mean. So like, he is sort of a half range, half melee in my opinion, a little bit, of course. And so toning it down this way, while I'm sure his range is still okay, you know, 10 to 9 and 9.5 to 9, the range is still really good. But I feel like they should give him a little bit more, like, maybe not nerf both of his abilities. Like his mouse 2, like, yeah, sure, it's kind of strong, but that was his main way of sort of staying in the game. Because if like he used his Q already or his E already, all he really has to do is his mouse 2. And so I guess decreasing the range on his E seems fair, because his E is really strong, but his mouse 2 is, I mean, it's okay, it deals 12 damage and stuff, but that is his main poke and his main filler kind of thing, you know. That's what he's supposed to do when he's not really doing anything, you know what I mean? So it feels a bit harsh, but I guess we'll just have to see what the actual effects of this nerf would be on Thorn, because I think Thorn was already in an okay spot, so we'll have to see. Maybe they'll buff him again in the next patch. But yeah, so that was about it for this patch. It's pretty short patch, but interesting nevertheless. So those were my thoughts on the changes, my thoughts on the Prehistoric Mania event, and yeah, and also the social changes. So if you guys have any thoughts and suggestions as well that you guys would like to talk about, you know, just leave them in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share this video with your friends, and stay subscribed for more Battlerite related videos. So yeah, until next time guys, have a great day, keep gaming, stay chill, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.